you've shared the octagon with literally some of the toughest fighters on the planet. You fought for probably some of the toughest divisions the UFC has ever had over the last 10 years, right? The divisions you actually fight in, even inside the UFC, are known as being the toughest. I mean, a real Shark Tank of fighters. And I don't think it's an exaggeration to say that most ordinary people would crack under that kind of pressure. How do you manage the nerves and the emotions that come before a big fight when you know you're going to face probably a lot of adversity? How do you transform that nervous energy into fuel for your performances?
At the beginning of my career, I was very uncomfortable with those, with those feelings of the nerves, the butterflies, the uncertainty of what I'm about to walk into. But that's what fighting is, over the years, and just learning about fighting and learning about myself through failures and through victories. It's just part of the journey. When you do this, I don't think those feelings ever go away. If they do, you need to stop. I use that to as momentum to carry me through. When I'm in the locker room, man, I'm a nervous wreck because what we do, the whole world is watching, and we're going to try to hurt each other. That's the name of the game. And out there, no matter how prepared you are, I had a great, I can have a great 9-week training camp, feel the best I've ever felt, but I'm still walking. When I walk through that arena and step out in there and walk to that octagon, it's the theater of the unknown. No matter how prepared I am, there's a chance that anything can still happen. And I just use that as motivation and try to embrace those feelings. Honestly, they're still there very much, but I'm just more familiar with them. And I know they're coming here in a few weeks. I'll be in the same position I've been in.
Yeah.
Time and time again in the locker room, warming up, hearing the crowd roar, know my time's coming, looking up at the clock, just waiting for it to happen. I just have to deal with those. Don't let them control me. I use them to push me.
Yeah. I feel like in your career, something switched at some point. I mean, early in your career, you used to sometimes fight angry or take things a little bit more personally. But at some point, you seemed to switch your mindset and started saying things along the lines of, it's not about the person, it's about their style. Or, the second time you fought Conor, you were just way cooler about it. You didn't have this kind of emotional approach. He talked trash and you'd be like, yeah, it's cool, whatever, it's just business. And I'm also thinking after your fight with Michael Chandler, where he pulled some dirty tactics in the middle of the fight, you just talked about like not panicking, like only controlling what I can control, something you just said right now as well. Have you done any kind of like mental work to kind of change your mindset, to kind of move on from like sort of taking things more personally, more emotionally, and becoming almost like more stoic and clear-headed about the whole thing and the whole challenge? And do you feel that doing this helped you achieve even a higher level of toughness in a way?
Yeah, I definitely did exactly what you're saying. To me, fighting is still, it's a one-on-one competition with the world watching. Like I said before, we're going to try to hurt each other. So it is very personal. I know what you're going to try to do to me, and I'm going to try to do the same thing to you. So there is a personal aspect of what we're going to do. We're going to try to hurt each other and take the win from each other and, try to beat each other's will and break each other mentally and physically. So it is very personal, but to detach myself from that in these competitions now is something I have been working on. Yeah. Probably over the last 6 years, I've been doing some practices I learned through a mental coach and just trying to remove the negativity, the thoughts, the voices, the outside of the circle. Like I always say, I draw the circle and what on the inside I can control. I just focus on that, man. Everything else is noise. I know what I need to do. As long as I check the boxes that I need to check, what's going to happen is going to happen. I do love a lot of things from Stoicism.
Yeah, because that dichotomy of control, right? Like if I don't control it, it's completely on the outside. I don't give it any energy. I don't give it any sort of momentum over myself. And you just kind of really control what's inside the circle as much as you can.
Right, and into that uncomfortable, into that unsure walk that I'm going to make. That's the obstacle is the way. That's the way I need to go.
Love that. And do you also like play with like things like meditation or breath work, like any other practices that helped you along that challenge?
Yeah, I do meditate. It's not a regular thing. Like I'm not doing it every day, but at least once a week when I have quiet time in the morning, I'll stretch before practice and kind of just get my mind, file my thoughts in order before I go out and what I'm going to try to do in training. What are the goals this training session? What am I looking for out of myself in these performances when I'm training? And I try to just focus on that thing and keep it in my mind during training as well. just try to slow my mind down because it's always running, man. It doesn't stop. I have trouble sleeping at night. I can never turn it off.
Of course, I mean, most people like go away from the challenges. You not only go towards the challenges, you go towards the highest possible challenges in your field. I mean, you're always fighting the toughest guys over and over again. I'm curious, when you're in the dressing room right before a fight, and you say, like, even to this day, you're kind of like a nervous wreck, and there's no way to eliminate the reality of what's about to happen. You're about to walk in there with another certified killer, and you guys are going to try to do bad things to each other. That's just the reality of it. You have to sort of accept it. But do you do anything? Like, do you have any like mindset stuff or breathing stuff, or like do you get into like incantations or anything like that? Like those old school warrior practices right before you walk out. Is there anything you do to kind of get you in the right mind frame?
No, actually, the night of the fight in the locker room, I warm up. Try to keep it fun with my team, have a good time, like keep it playful, like we do in the gym. That makes me feel the most comfortable, even though what I'm about to walk out there and do is stressful. I try to keep that same feeling we have in the gym, so it crosses over to the performance, because that's when I'm having fun. That's when I perform my best. But like the breathing and the meditation is definitely done fight week. I'm spending a week or so in a city that I've never been most of these fights, and I'm going to do these media things, going to a training session, and I'm just at my Airbnb for a week with lots of downtime. So, you can't let those, when that downtime happens, that's when those thoughts can creep in and you can start overthinking stuff. That's when I really, really focus on my mindset. When it gets quiet, when I'm back at the hotel or my Airbnb fight week.